Everybody. It's Friday, August 9th, and it's the last day of the week. So today we're going to just check out some resistance levels. And essentially, I'm going to start on the Dow Jones mini futures here and just use the most basic indicators here, the 50, 100, and 200 SMA, just so you can see where resistance is for a lot of things. And just starting here with the Dow Jones E-mini futures, you can see for the past 5 days, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the whole week, it's been under resistance of the 50 weeks. So the green is my 50 day, because this is the daily chart. The 50-day moving average, the blue line is the 100, and the purple down there is my 200-day moving average. So just looking at this chart alone, you can see that price is not ready to break the resistance yet of this. Oh, good morning, Jules. And so it's just really going to be in a range, I think, today. So maybe it's going to stick above the 100-day and bounce in between the 100 and 200, or 150, right? The 50 up here, the 100 down here. Maybe it could just bounce in between. So we'll see how the day closes. But if it just closes in this range under the 50, then that leaves maybe next week maybe more downside to possibly finally test that 200-day moving average below that it hasn't really tested since it broke out back here in November of 2023, right? So this could be still in a mini downtrend, right? So I got to keep an eye on the Dow, the E-mini futures here. But let's go take a look at the QQQ, see if we can see something similar. And sure enough, the QQQ is down to 445 pre-market. And just using those indicators as well, the 200-day is down here, the 100 is up here. So it's just really right in the middle of that. Is there any more confirmation of resistance with the Ichimoku? Yeah, that is giving us why it's not up to the 100 yet, right? It's basically getting rejected by the conversion line there at 449. So essentially what I'm seeing is support held, but it's at resistance now. And I think we're going to see this with a lot of charts today. That support has held, but it's at a resistance right now. So this is the theme of this week, right? So it's been a volatile week, but many charts look similar to this. And if I go down, let's check out Tesla pre-market here. So just using the moving averages of the 50, the 100, and the 200, the purple there, you can see Tesla is stuck right in between the 100-day and the 200-day moving average. And it's been just like a ping pong, up and down, up and down, up and down, right? The whole week, basically. So today's the last day of the week. Can it break above? We'll find out. That sits at 203.25, so that's the target for today. The support for today would be the 190.89, so that'll be something to watch out for. But if you turn on that Ichimoku, you can still see it's within the cloud here on the daily chart. Possibly it's going to open like right here. If I zoom in a little bit, it'll open maybe right here, still above the cloud. So maybe even the support down here would be like 195 for today. Maybe wick below to 194 or so, just like saw that wick below. So I don't think it'll get to that 190.89. I think possibly for Tesla, anything around 195, 194 could be a good opportunity for a continuation back up to test that 200-day moving average. But again, if it can't break it soon, it might start to roll over and retest the lower levels again as well. So that level, the 200-day, is pretty important now that it is flipped to an obvious resistance here. Essentially, that needs to break. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Let's take a look at, let's do CLSK just because they had their earnings. Right. Yeah. So this one still, it lost the 200-day, right? Last week it closed right above it, everybody thinking it's going to be okay and bounce. me included, but no, it went down below to retest lower levels down here. Even close some of these gaps down here as well. So that's a good indicator of maybe this support is going to hold. Um, with that Ichimoku, it's really more confirmation of resistance there. So it's kind of hard to see it pass the 1350 to 1370 zone right now. Like if price did go up there, it'd probably be rejected for a while and maybe retest some of these lows below before trying to break above. Hello, Andrew and Tina. Yeah, I'll check out MSTR just in a second. But yeah, essentially CleanSpark, it looks like it has found a base down here around $9 and 950. But anything up in the 1350s is going to be some resistance. And I'll check out MicroStrategy here. And just using the 50, 100, and 200, you can see how the 200-day held as support down here perfectly. And now it's on its way up to the 100 and possibly the 50, the green line up there. So is there anything before that with the Ichimoku? Yeah, there is. There's the cloud, right? This is why it hasn't gotten to those upper moving averages yet, because it's getting rejected by the cloud. So again, this is a common theme of today, that everything is approaching a resistance. So basically, I think that, yeah, you just got to stay cautious, got to stay diligent, and possibly expect a little bit lower levels to maybe pick up some more. And not just for MicroStrategy, for a lot of stocks today. Oh, yeah, the CLSK, they postponed it. Yeah, I'm not sure, but essentially, I don't really. Earnings don't really play a role in the strategy. Just if it's at resistance, I'm more cautious. If it's at support, then I'm more optimistic. But essentially, things still depend on Bitcoin with all the miners as well. But Bitcoin is doing well, but CLSK is still under a lot of resistance. So we'll go check out SMCI. MCI just with these indicators, it possibly has found a bottom down here. If you look to the left of the chart, is there any kind of support down there? Not really. So that kind of brings me back to what I was saying before for SMCI. If I go to my linear scale chart here, that I really want to see it close back above that blue level, right? That blue angle there. If it does not close back above it, then I really think there is a possibility that this low will not hold, right? I think what could happen is maybe next week we could see price like continue up to the 550s, or even today it could go up to 550s, but it doesn't. If it doesn't close above 550, then it could just come back down to these lower levels here and possibly find a bottom around here, or maybe just a little bit lower down here to maybe back test these levels down here. So that's what I'm looking for, SMCI. But today is an important day, really. I want to see some momentum to close back above to get any kind of bullishness back. But if it closes below that 550, I can't really be bullish in the short term. Just in the longer term, I'm still bullish, just because this chart is market structure wise is still fine, right? With higher lows right here. And that's all it's trying to do right now, is find a higher low currently. And Lulu, let's take a look at Lulu here. So Lulu on the daily chart, it looks kind of like a falling knife currently. It can't get any momentum. All the moving averages up here. The cloud is 100% bearish on the daily chart. Essentially, let me go to my other log scale chart to see. Are there any levels down here? Yeah, it's kind of like at a range here, at a kind of a demand zone here. If I put on the weekly chart, let's take a look. Yeah, there's a possibility some things could hold here. If I put on the daily, what about the monthly Ichimoku? Let's take a look at that to see if there's any kind of support. No, it's below the cloud now too, and if it kind of closes a month below these levels here, then that's going to become resistance for Lulu right here. This range right here, that used to be a support, right? So if it closes the month below this support zone, then it's going to turn into resistance and probably head lower and lower still. And what I could see is possibly retesting these lows down here if that happens. And those lows kind of sit around 180. So that would be my next target if it does close this month below these levels. But there is still 21 days left in the month for it to come back up and close above. But even still, there's the now it's under the cloud, right? And it hasn't been underneath that cloud since back in 2017. So this is kind of a really big deal now. And any kind of uh, rally could just get rejected by the cloud here and then head lower down to the 180s. It could do something like that, right? So we got to be cautious of that. Even with the moving averages here for the month, it is kind of holding the 100 month moving average. So that's the only support it has right now. So that's why I'm saying this has a possibility to hold as support. And even going back to these candles, it is back testing these monthly candles here as well. So has a really good chance. But like I said, if it closes this month below these lows, the wicks don't really matter, right? But if it closes below these lows, then there could be a continuation lower, right? So really, we got to watch in 21 days to see how this candle closes. If it closes above the 100 and above these lows, then I think there's a potential to for the bottom to possibly be in. But this is a bearish thing that's happening, closing below the cloud. I don't like that, and making lower lows currently. So just got to keep an eye on those levels. All right, let's take a look at a few more things. Yeah, let's quickly look at the QQQ pre-market again. Let's even look at the 4-hour chart. So on the 4-hour chart here, it's back above the conversion line, which is a good thing. But still, lots of resistance above in the 450s. So even that 200 on the 4-hour chart was support, and now it's also resistance as well. So that's going to be the moral of the story today: is price on all charts are at resistance, really. So let's see here. Let's take a look at Nvidia. Yeah, Nvidia, when we look at the 4-hour chart, it's battling the 200 MA, right there. So let's see if it can break above that. Do I use the harmonic Zcat? No, I don't use that. I have followed a few people that do use it, so I think it's very useful. I just stick to the market symmetry mostly with my strategy. So yeah, back to Nvidia. The 4-hour chart is just showing that it's in a range, right? The support is around 100 down here. The resistance could be right up here around 107. So it's basically kind of in the middle. And on the daily chart, is it breaking resistance? No, it's not, right? You can look at the combination of the 100-day and the conversion line up here, and that clearly shows us that the 105 level is pretty big resistance right now. And even more resistance is the bottom of the cloud, because once it broke it, it came back up to back test it, got rejected, and now it's still underneath that daily cloud. So for Nvidia, it looks like it just needs more time. And where is ultimate support? That's probably on the monthly chart here right now. And that is that 92.89 level that we saw hit. It even wicked below it down to 90.69. But that's basically your ultimate support right now, is that conversion line on the monthly chart for Nvidia. So it's just still in a big range. Let's see here. Let's take a look at Amazon on the daily chart. Yeah, so Amazon's another one that lost the 200-day moving average, and possibly you can see it come back up to 169, but I do not expect it to close above there today. So that'll be the resistance level. And if you go on the weekly chart here just to see more support, we know that it hit the bottom of the cloud here. So that is the support at 153. But the good news is this could also be turning back into support too, the 50-week moving average, and that sits at 163.70 right there, right? It sits right there, 163.70. So that could be flipping to a support again for a push up to these upper 170s to hit those resistance levels, right? For Amazon. You guys have any other charts you want to look at this morning? Just go ahead and type them in the chat. Let's look at Apple on the daily chart here. Yeah, that one held support nicely. Down here, almost got to the 100, but didn't. But now you can see the same thing for Apple on the daily chart. The 50-day is at 213, right? No, sorry, 214.24. That is the 50-day moving average, and price is currently below it. Pre-market's at 211.78. So support is kind of right down there in the 210, 209 zone, and resistance right here is at 214. So exactly very in a tight range on the daily chart. So it looks like it's going to stay that way for the weekly close. Let's see, GDX. Okay, so GDX right here, yeah, same situation. It's on the daily chart, it's at the 50-day moving average at resistance, with even more resistance here at 36. So essentially, support is down here, resistance is up here, and it's that clear, right? So if it came back down to like 34.84 or even 34.50, I think that could be a good opportunity. But it doesn't look like it's ready to break out yet, just because there's a lot of resistance above right now. ASML. So this one is interesting. It closed the day yesterday above the 200, but you can see that. Is this the one that you were talking about, ASML? The New York registry shares? Yeah. Yeah, looks like it. Yeah, so this one is back at the conversion line on the daily chart around 854. So essentially, that should be a support. It could come back down to the lower levels of the 830s to retest the bottom of this candle. But essentially, this is just hit resistance, right? The 200-day, you can see it was support here. Now it's turning into resistance. Even though it closed the day back above yesterday, the pre-market is showing that it's going to open the day back below it. So that is the range right now for ASML. Humacyte. So here's one that is actually kind of bullish for the daily chart. Just has a little bit of resistance above at that 845 level right up here. But pre-market, it's up 15 cents. It's not too bad. But support should be down here from 744 down to 701, and resistance sits up here at 845. If it can break that 845, then I think that's a possibility to go back to these highs. But this one's actually only has a little bit of resistance above and lots of support below. CRSP, CRISPR. So this one, yeah. So you can see that it lost all support way back here and then just trended lower, and still it's trying to even go back up to the first resistance level, really. And if we go to the weekly chart here, you can see that it did wick up here to these levels right here, but so far it can't get any higher. Is there anything on the monthly chart that shows anything different with it? No, on the monthly chart, it still shows it's 100% bearish. But what you can see is that it is still just trying to find a higher low on a monthly basis here. That could be it right there, the 45. But there really isn't anything showing where true support is for this chart. But you can just look at the monthly basis that this zone right here is a pretty big demand zone. Lots of candles are going through it, right? So anything from, I don't know, current price all the way down to the low 40s, I think could be the good opportunity. But there, on every time frame, there's just lots of resistance above. So it's not ready to break out at all. And GROV, Grove. Okay, so this one on the daily chart, it's looking pretty bearish. And it just looks like this zone right here, that was a previous support zone. And you can see that it lost that support zone right here. And now it's like kind of flipping it to a resistance right now. Like price is coming back up here to the baseline, and it's getting rejected because of, if you make the box even smaller down here, you can see that this level, so many of these candles was support, right? And now price is below that level. So it's essentially a previous support that was support for a long time is now resistance. So this is a bearish chart on the daily chart. And on the weekly, even more bearish because it can't really stay above the conversion line, and that's resistance. So, and this is a more clear picture how these candle wicks were a support, and now it's can't even get it back above it. So the market structure has changed from finding a support, and now the support has flipped to a resistance. So cannot really be bullish on this until price can start closing candles back above the conversion line and then even press towards the baseline up here. So just until then, it's probably going to just stay in a downtrend. Welcome, Hamish. Thank you. Yeah, let's see here. XRT. No, we have OTLY. And OTLY on the let's go to the daily chart first. Yeah, it's below everything again. And so far, it's kind of holding this previous low here. You see some wicks below, but the candle bodies are still closing above this low. So it's not like it's going to collapse yet. So as long as this, what's that level? The 85-cent zone, 8544. That if as long as that a body of any of these candles, they don't close below that level, I think price can probably hold and maybe continue up. But yeah, on a weekly chart, it just doesn't look good, right? It doesn't look good at all because look at this 50-week moving average. It can never get above except a few times, but at that time it was getting rejected by the cloud. And this is just looking like it might want to continue lower. So got to be careful with that one. It just looks like it's getting pretty weak. It can't break above. But again, as long as the weekly candle, the daily candle closes above that level, there is a potential to go retest the cloud as well. So it's not all hope is lost yet. It's just looking like it's a possibility it wants to roll over. And XRT. So XRT is looking like on, let's go to the daily chart. Yeah, the 200-day held pretty nicely. So now price is up pre-market, and you can see that price is maybe wanting to go to the bottom of the cloud or the 100-day moving average around 75. But is anything in the way before that on the weekly chart? No, not really. So as long as this is the 200 week right here, as long as price stays above it, it can go to 75 pretty easily. There's not much resistance until then. But once it gets to like 75, $76, there should be some trouble and possibly just stay in this range for some time for XRT. All right. So let's look at the averages again. Let's go take a look at Bitcoin, actually. I think my chart froze. Let's see. Can you guys hear me? I think my chart froze again or something. Yeah, okay. I think I'm back now. Anyways, so basically the Bitcoin price on the weekly chart, this is all you really need to see is that it held that 50 week and now it's pressing up against the baseline and the conversion line there. And essentially what's really happening is that's resistance, right? And if I go to the daily chart here, you can even see it more clearly, right? You can see it perfectly that it's still under the 200-day, it's under the 50-day. It is back in the cloud, and price can go back down to test the bottom of the cloud around 59.7, maybe wick below 59.5. But that, I think, is the range right now, is like 59.5 all the way up to maybe 62,000, or even up to here, 62.7, right? That's the range right now. And until it breaks either way, if it breaks down, then it's going to retest lows. If it breaks up, then it's going to go retest the 100-day up here at 64,000. But currently, it's a lot of resistance. So I don't get excited about resistance. So just got to take it one day at a time. But we'll see how this week closes. If the week can close pretty good, then maybe price will become more and more bullish. PFE, Pfizer. Yeah, okay, so Pfizer is on the daily chart, battling the 50-day again. Price is it closed below it yesterday. It's still up below it right now, pre-market. So if it stays below, it's going to drift lower to the 200-day down here, 28.31. But since it's downward sloping, it could even retest the bottom of the cloud around 28. So that kind of would be my target if this 50-day doesn't hold down to $28. And you can see the resistance above here, 29. Let's see, INTC, the market opens soon in 45 seconds. So yeah, INTC on the daily chart, way down there. The resistance kind of sits up there at 25 on the weekly chart. There is no support at all down there. Got to go to the monthly chart to see any kind of indicator. Yeah, this is looking pretty bearish. So if you look to the left here, it's finally in a demand zone right here. You can see that all these candles here, possibly that is the bottom then, right? So we can look here. Yeah, that's the bottom range of all of these candles really. So I would say maybe what we saw around 18, 19, that could be the bottom. But still, it's pretty far away from a lot of indicators. So it has some room to go up. But I think if it goes back up to this zone here, to the $25 zone, it could get rejected just because previous support right here was flipped to resistance. So that is something to watch out for. All right, I think the markets are open now. So let's take a look at everything. So yeah, IWM is down 32. We got Tesla down $2. We got Google down $2. Microsoft up. Let's take a look at IWM. Haven't checked on that recently. So monthly chart still looks really fine. Weekly chart, back testing the 200-week moving average, and it held as support. Now it's working on its way back up. Daily chart, you can see it's stuck under the 50-week still, or 50-day moving average still, and that sits at 207.97. So 208 is going to be resistance, and it's just stuck in a range right now. And let's go down. So where did Tesla open the day? We'll turn on the cloud just to see. Yeah, it opened the day right on the bottom of the cloud. So it looks like it wants to trend up. And I could see it closing the day near the 203 level again. I could see that. So I think just in a range, right? The support down here of the 100 at 191 and the resistance up here around 203. So price could trade anywhere in that range for it today for Tesla. Okay. Yeah. Essentially, that's every stock, really. Every stock is looking like how the QQQ looks, how Tesla looks, how price has found a support. But now most things right now are approaching resistance. And if that resistance cannot break, possibly price can roll back over to the lower levels to test those, right? But yeah, the miners, they're mostly flat, all of them. Let's just go through them really quickly. Let's look at HUT. Yeah, daily chart, it's at resistance right there at 1240. Wolf, it's breaking into the cloud, so it could be a new support right there at 381. So I think it has room to go up to 430. That would be the new resistance up there for Wolf. And BTBT, also it's at support, but there's resistance right above, right? So it looks like it could go up to 314 or 322, but that's going to be some resistance with even more resistance here at 334. Bitfarms back above the 200 day, back above the 100 day, and it's approaching resistance up here too, around 240. Iron found support with the 200 day right here, and it's going back up to the resistance of the 100 day and the conversion line around 830. So that's going to be the next resistance with more resistance above. And Cypher found support. It's got resistance above. Right? Possibly that's support, but it's going towards resistance above too. But this chart looks the worst out of all of them still on a day-to-day basis. Mara, it's trying to break that resistance of the conversion line, but not sure if it can, but it has more resistance above in the 19s as well. So yeah, that's I'll just wrap it up. You guys know the levels that I've talked about. So essentially, I still think Tesla can close over 200 today. I think it's going to go maybe closer to 203. What we saw in the morning for Tesla could be the low, and I think there's room to go higher. But essentially, yeah, everything is in a range, and it's approaching resistance faster and faster. Yeah, I hold some miners. I hold Mara, CLSK, and I'm thinking about adding some others if they go a little bit lower. But I think they're all good trading stocks. So far, holding them has not been the best. They've been a lot more volatile. But I like when they go down, and then when they get a support, buy them. When they get to resistance, maybe sell them. But I was trying to hold them longer term. But I think that it's just better to hold the actual asset of Bitcoin longer term than the miners, in my opinion. They're just more of a trading vehicle because they're super volatile. Yeah. Yeah, I covered IWM, and I'll just cover it one more time before I wrap it up. But basically, yeah, daily chart says it all. It's right in between the 100-day down here at 205.40 and the 50-day at 208, right? So that's the range for today. And it can't break above the 50-day. You can see this whole week, it has not closed a candle above it. It even got rejected 2 days ago. So it used to be a support right here. Now it's a resistance again. So this is just going to take more time. So essentially, just be careful because a lot of things are approaching resistance. I would not get too excited about it, but things are possible to continue a little bit higher. But I think once that resistance hits, then maybe next week things could go back and retest some levels, right? So got to be careful with that. But we'll see how the week closes. All right. You guys have a great rest of the day, a great rest of the week, and I'll talk to you soon.